Welcome back to Cultures and Effects in the Classroom. Culture competence refers to the ability to react to other people of other cultures and how to interact with them. This usually done with nonprofits, human resources, and agencies that work with different cultures. Culture competence is comprised of 4 different components: the awareness and worldview of your own culture, the attitude towards cultural differences, the knowledge of different cultural practices and worldviews, and, lastly, your cross-culture skills. When you develop these skills, you are able to communicate with people of other cultures much easier. Awareness of one's culture worldviews is when interact with a person from a different culture, you acknowledge the stereotypes of these cultures and examine your own belief about the cultural differences. For example, I've seen people go to Thailand, Philippines, and Cambodia, and the individuals have really good intentions of helping people, but when they arrive, they begin to act like their culture is much better than the local culture. They give the notion that if they, the foreigner, is the savior of the country and the locals need to be thankful they are there. They then try to force their culture onto the locals. That's not what you want to do. While many of the aforementioned people believe in equality and helping others, they don't believe that they're prejudiced in any ways, but their actions beg to differ. Some charities pay their foreign workers thousands of dollars per month with benefits such as a free house, car, and so forth, but try to squeeze the local nationals with as little pay as possible. Their attitude and actions cause problems. Skills are just another nonverbal communication form that vary from culture to culture. What seems to be okay in one culture may be an insult to another culture. For example, in Japan you point at your nose when you talk about yourself, and America you point at your chest. In America the thumbs up action is saying okay, while in India it's an insult. The way you stand and your body language can be read as a different demeanor in some societies. Communicative competence is also a term used in linguistics that refers to language and the user's grammatical knowledge of the syntax, morphology, phonology, and the social knowledge when you need to use certain words. It's based in 3 different aspects: grammatical competence, which are the words, rules, and sociolinguistic. The appropriateness and strategic competence, which is the appropriate use of communicated strategies. Appropriateness is the way you talk to certain people of certain groups. For example, a student talking to a teacher as opposed to the student talking to his or her parents' parents or talking to their friends. They're all different ways of talking, and these are known as social registers. The term communicative competence was coined in 1966 and is described as the ability to achieve communicative goals in a socially appropriate manner. It is organized and goal-oriented, i.e., it includes the ability to select and apply skills that are appropriate and effective in the respective context. It includes verbal and nonverbal behavior. It describes Chomsky's distinction between competence and performance and refers to a language user's skills of the language as well as the social knowledge of how to use the other sense. The term also refers to a language user's grammatical knowledge of the syntax, morphology, phonology rules, as well as the social registers and the appropriateness when to use the words. A teacher can use culture days to help students understand each other and their culture. This way the students can see the similarities and the differences of the many cultures in the classroom, as many students come from different backgrounds. It will show the uniqueness of the cultures and the different styles of clothing, the food, that they're family-oriented, religious, and the many differences in the language and culture. Once the students discover this, they will realize that there's not much difference between cultures. In a nutshell, each culture wants their children to learn the language in a similar fashion, get a quality education, and succeed in life. The parents want their children to be respected and have their language appreciated and want them to feel appreciated and respected by the other students and cultures. That's universal. Most of the differences between cultures is grammar, speaking, clothing, food, dance, and the type of religion. In some cultures, the need to show respect towards adults is more prevalent than other cultures. In Japan, Korea, and China, when you get on a bus, the seats in the front of the bus are given up for the senior citizens and pregnant women. Sometimes you might see people in some cultures just lock up and look at you like a deer staring at the headlights. These individuals are trying to process information and wonder why this is happening. One time I went to a Korean restaurant and ordered food in Korean. Everyone in the restaurant stopped and stared at me because they couldn't believe I was speaking Korean. Even the waiter just stood there wondering what to do. Some people will just look at this and say, "Why is he speaking Korean? How did he learn Korean and what does he want?" It really will throw people off. In Japan, some locals do not like foreigners speaking Japanese as they feel they are getting too close to the culture. In the Philippines, some individuals dislike foreigners speaking Tagalog, the language of the Philippines. Some people will be ignorant of other cultures and feelings. When they act a certain way, it's not being done deliberately. Other people do it intentionally and do not care. Remember, people want to be treated like others. If you want to do anything, just be kind. Hand gestures and body language can impact student attitudes. Finger pointing, gesturing, and thumbs up signs are insults in other countries. Filipinos tend not to look people in the eye as this is a sign of aggression. Pacific Islanders tell the children not to look at them when they're being admonished. Which in the American culture, that child better look at you because it shows up they're paying attention. Europeans stand about 18 inches next to a person while in America it is 30 inches. You may have students walking up to people and pretty much standing on top of them. And that's normal to them. Pacific Islanders like to work in groups while Filipinos want individual work. Thai and Cambodians don't like strangers touching children's heads. Carolinians, from the Carolinian Islands in the South Pacific, women must always keep their heads lower than the males. Russians may kiss people on the cheeks when they meet them or they raise their arms up in the air to thank people. When you learn the little things, it can go a long way. How can you help an ELL student? You can get more time to take a test, have a cultural day so students can understand each other. Give wait time when you ask a question to a student. Most importantly, don't get angry, scream and say, "Why don't you understand this?" I really despise teachers who say this. If you ask a student that question, you should ask yourself, what other way do I need to teach so they understand? You must really concentrate on is asking students questions even though you know they may not be able to answer them. This shows that you really care about them and you're not ignoring them. If you ignore them, the student may tend to believe, or start to believe, that you don't want them in the classroom and they don't have to learn. You can have family members, or a person who speaks that native language, come in and volunteer to help the students. Try to involve the father, as there are some cultures that if you involve the father, the student learns much better. Learn about the culture. Find books in the native language to help the student. If you find books in the native language, the student will want to read more. If you learn about the culture, you'll know about activities and games that other students may want to participate in your classroom. The 3 keys that you should remember are: value and promote diversity, teach humanistically as well as rigorously, and become a model for other aspects of American society. When a child looks upon you, this is what they see. The instructor must learn about the culture and demonstrate respect to help the class and the learners together to promote self-worth for the students. Don't talk down to the student as it may cause them to lose their self-worth and respect for you. Don't tell students that they cannot speak their native language, but let them know about registers where they need to talk to certain people a certain way. When you do this, you will increase the self-esteem towards the students, and it will help the student maintain their education goals and want to continue to learn. That is all the time we have for today. Thank you for being here. I hope to see you again.